할게요. 2025년 파티 봄학기 교환배우미 연차는 시작하겠습니다. 이번 봄학기에 프랑스에서 파티로 온 3명의 교환배우미 안나, 에밀, 루안의 작업을 공유하는 시간을 가지려고 하고요. 여기 루안은 그래픽디자인 및 인터랙티비티를 배웠고, 여기 에밀은 미디어 및 출판 디자인, 그리고 안나는 순수 미술을 공부했다고 합니다. 그러면 이제 친구들의, 배우미들의 이야기를 들어보도록 할게요. So, can start.
I can start. Yeah. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is LouAnne, and I am currently on an Erasmus exchange for a semester at PaTV. Originally from France, I am in fourth year of the higher national diploma in plastic expression at Esadhar in Le Havre. My major is design and interactivity. My academic background include bachelor degree in diploma national art and design with specialization in graphic design and communicative objects, as well as a vocational baccalaureate in art and visual communication at Saint-Vincent-de-Paul, Le Havre. So today I present to you some of my projects carried out during my then-made license. For my first project is a dissertation edition called Goal in Korean and Miroir in French. So my first project I am going to show you is my dissertation, which examines in depth the history of graphic design in South Korea. It also focuses on the Korean alphabet angle. As part of my research going back to the beginning of Korean graphic design, we examine how it was constructed through external influence. The question is, can we talk about Korean graphic design? It is the mirror of Western style. So there is very, and I emphasize very, little research on Korean graphic design in France. My research is mainly based on the website and review available on the Naver browser in South Korea. The first part of this article is devoted to my research on the history of graphic design in the land of morning calm, directly linked to the situation in the country. For a long time, Korean graphic designers have drawn inspiration from external influence, particularly Japanese graphic style. In another part, I examine how far the appropriation of existing graphic style has gone. Korean graphic design have been the subject of controversy many times, which has caused Korean graphic design to lose credibility. In the last part, I highlight the essential role of angle as a solution to contemporary Korean graphic design, in which we explore this alphabet with geometric shapes, and how graphic designers use the aesthetic elements of angle to establish a link with Korean graphic design. The objective of this dissertation is to promote Korean graphic design, little known to the European public. It also allows us to identify whether Korean graphic design has truly established its graphic style by being its own mirror, or whether it is a reflection of external country. And my layout of my edition mirrors is distinguished by a mirror paper cover, echoing its title and the central theme of my dissertation on Korean graphic design. The embossed title title preserves the original of the material. I choose two types of paper, one reminiscent and traditional Korean paper called Anji. The other satin to evoke the surface of a mirror. The Coptic binding allows for flat reading with visible braiding. My minimalist approach is inspired by Korean graphic design, incorporates the palette Obanse, and a balance between simplicity and expression. The typography combines An Sang-soo and Montserrat for the French part, with alternative for the Korean version. The bilingual work offers two reading modes, mixing Korean and Western influence to make Korean graphic design accessible to everyone. The second project is album archive. This trip was an accomplishment. After 4 years, I achieved one of my goals. My trip to South Korea is in November 2023 with my father is written in one of my unforgettable chapters. An adventure that is part of deep immersion in a rich culture and contrasting landscape and a captivating history. This edition, which is linked to my dissertation, offers overview of my 2 weeks trip, photograph to reflect moment, testimony to the discovery of a nation where traditional and modernity coexist. Through the page of this album, I invite the reader to browse this photo, illustrating the place I was able to visit with my father, and I giving you an overview of Seoul. So the cover of my 23 photo album dedicated to Seoul features the word Seoul, written in Korean, symbolizes the city that I visit in November 2023. A semicircle on the title represents its other name, the land of the calm morning, illustrating the sunrise. This composition also forms an eye, suggesting that the album offers a vision of Seoul through my photo. The color yellow symbolizes the cultural richness of the country, while the blue background creates a contrast, capturing the dynamic and diverse essence of this city. My creative approach, I like to the Obanse color palette. I answer that the color of my layout reflects this palette closely linked to my dissertation. By leafing through photo album, I try to create a visual rhythm, adapt to the large number of photos. I add, since most of my photos were cross-referenced, I opt for a less intrusive caption by reducing its opacity, while still maintaining its presence. To mark the beginning and end of each chapter, I use a duotone technique with 2 different versions of the same photo superposed. Then we worked in Photoshop. This. So I would like to introduction for the rest of the presentation. I will introduce you to my made project. Which is entirely centered on angle. From the beginning, I choose to explore this alphabet in particular through the expression of its shape. This led me to conduct further research and develop a key question: how can visual perspective and form interact and interpret each other? The objective of this project was to explore aspects of this alphabet and show how it inspired the question on my display object. This choice allowed me to deepen my understanding of the heritage of Hangul and to study the work Aung San Suu. Initially, I thought I would move away from his influence, but each new question brought me closer to his work, which deeply inspired me. This main project not only enriched my artistic approach, but by defining my own constraints, but it also allowed me to create objects reflecting both my passion and the unique beauty of Hangul. So my first poster is a poster Hangul exhibition. The poster I present to you is inspired by the aesthetic of the Japan Switch poster from the Fake Sense Studio, which highlight the ability to reach both Japanese and Western audience. In this composition, I rely on the same concept, but using Hangul, represented by the shape background. So Latin letters are incorporated to which Western audience, and their placement aim to balance the wall. Their thickness is designed to maintain subtlety, encouraging the reader to question both the shape and the letter highlights in order to reconstruct the word. The color used result from a mixture of nuance observed several times in Korean creation. The first line on the text provides serve a guide to deciphering the poster. This. So, Hangul form. This experimental project aims to explore the form and raise a question in the reader regarding its interpretation and use. Composed of 240 pieces from the 24 basic letters of Hangul, repeat 10 times. This language can give two letters or the contrary, constitute a language based solely on shape. Each piece thus offers a multiplicity of possibility of expression and interpretation. Indeed, by playing with the shape, it is possible to create a language composed of Latin letters, although the starting point is exclusively Hangul letter. So, by examining how shapes and letters interact, this project provides an entertaining experience for readers. So, by encouraging reflection of the nature of visual language, this project seeks to push the limit of perception and understanding. It encourages the reader to explore the relationship between form, letter, and meaning, while challenging established linguistic conventions. This approach invites us to rethink the way we interact with the symbol and visual languages, thus offering new ideas for creativity and expression. The next poster, called Poster Hangul, is my series of posters is designed with the constraint of the grid based on a 1 cm by 1 cm grid. This structure serves as a framework for exploring and highlighting Korean letters, both the expression and their shapes. Each poster uses this grid to organize and structure the content in a precise manner, allowing you to play with typography, shape, and space. I also use Aung San Suu typography. By exploring Hangul in this way, I was able to better understand the typography Aung San Suu and Mir, and how it makes the letters independent of each other. This approach carried out through the medium of the poster highlights the geometric aesthetic of angle while creating a playful and intriguing visual aesthetic. The grid allows you to experience angle in another form, going beyond the traditional square framework without detach, and allowing each letter to express itself fully. This generates patterns reminiscent of pixel, inviting the reader to pay close attention. So, in the step of heritage, I'm reading a text that I wrote emerging directly from a poster by Aung San Suu Kyi. This poster. Kim Seljong the Great planted the seed by creating Hangul, the Korean language. The Korean people then nourished in and contribute to its flourishing, making this tree and majestic being. Through their determination to make this alphabet unique symbol, thus conferring their independence. Aung San Suu Kyi then initiated a new flowering by reinventing Hangul. He pushed new buds, introduced new perspective and innovation in the world of design. For our part, as graphic designer, we took part in this process by making South bud bloom, giving birth to typographic variant and continuing to explore the various designs that Hangul offer us. So my work, inspired by that of Aung San Suu Kyi, contribute to this flowering by adding 22 notable moments from my last year of Made, each represent of highlight. The aesthetic of the word adopt a typography reminiscent of that of Aung San Suu Kyi. The work is monochrome, aiming to create a poetic atmosphere, thus inviting the reader to question what they perceive and what they interpret. And edition accompanies the work to help the reader understand and what he sees. This edition is designed to support the understanding and interpretation of the 22 terms chosen to compose the work in French sur les pas de l'héritage. It provides access to the translation of the 22 terms that make up the flower of the tree. These terms written in Hangul are spread across the entire tree, showing that what we see is not limited to shape but to word. The symbolic number 22 was linked to my age at the time. It is comparable to personal flowering. A word it was I typography, choosing because this flower has faded. The tree experienced several flowering cycles. New research in typography will naturally emerge. In reinterpreting the Aung San Suu Kyi typography created in 1985, I imposed format a constraint on myself by working on 1 by 1 centimeter square. This limitation has shaped my typography practice. The title is a tribute. Untitled in the step of heritage is tell how I follow in the footsteps of Aung San Suu Kyi, just as he followed in the step of his predecessor. I found in him what he found in them, a source of inspiration and deep respect. So, for the Eternal, for this final project in my Made project called Eternal, at the heart of Korean society, she was referring to as the Eternal One, the one who never fades. This vase made of paper highlights the counter shape of Hangul, the Korean alphabet. on which this proposal it is accompanied by a bouquet of hibiscus, emblematic and symbolic of South Korea. This bouquet is made up of 24 flowers representing the 24 basic letters of the Korean alphabet. Of these, 23 are yellow, blending harmoniously with the stele, and one is red, placed in the center. Around of the heart of the composition, it symbolizes all the suffering and trials experienced by the Korean people. The hibiscus, known to be a flower that never fades, embodies not only beauty and resilience, but also the horror and one of the past. Thus, this work is not only a celebration of the Korean alphabet, but also a poignant tribute to the history and perseverance of the Korean people, marked by the indelible trace of the past. And so, to finish this presentation, I would like to present three of my old projects in Denmark. Fenrir at Fashion, summaries of the myth of Fenrir. In Norse mythology, Fenrir is a giant wolf, son of the god Loki. The Asgard god, aware of its formidable power, seeks to contain it by various means. Eventually, Fenrir is captured by Gleipnir, a magical cloth. He overcomes with a rage and pain scream of the god, who then thrust a large sword in the muzzle to neutralize his threat. And according to some version of the Norse legend, the saliva that continually flowed from in his mouth formed the lake Van, meaning up, and will. Project summaries. For this project, which was dividing into 4 stages, I would like to present to you the third phase, which consists of bringing our own myth to life in 3 dimensions. Being attracted to fashion and customized clothes, I choose to create an offset inspired by Fenrir. My friend and classmate kindly agreed to be my model, so I set about purchasing the necessary clothes and customizing and adding the essential element to make up Fenrir's outfit. My classmate represents Fenrir. His body as paint to simulate saliva. This. And to represent Laxville and Van using the boots. The pattern used are inspired by my sketches. His hair has been dyed purple to evoke the color of the wolf, while the fabric is carefully wrapped around him to limit his upper body mobility. An accessory necklace recalls the sword stuck in the mouth. So, Shinigami-Anyu. Following my experience with Photoshop software, I began creating a poster. The starting point of this visual project was my drawing titled Shinigami-Anyu. By exploring various features and editing technique in the software, I sought to create an attractive visual composition. The goal was to merge the element of my design with the creative possibility in Photoshop while expressing my graphic style through the poster design process. And for my last project is I Saw the Devil. Movie summaries. I Saw the Devil is a 2010 South Korean film directed by Kim Ji-woon. The story follows a secret agent Kim So Yeon, played by actor Lee Byung-hun, whose fiancé is brutally murdered by a sadistic serial killer Kyun Chul, played by Choi Min-sik. Determined to take revenge, Kim Soo-yeon set out on a merciless hunt to track down and torture the murderer. Poster question. The poster for the film I Saw the Devil focus mainly of the face of the two main characters. That Kim Soo-yeon, the secret agent whose wife was murdered, is allied while that of the murderer blend into Kim Soo-yeon's face. This fusion symbolizes the secret agent's deep desire for revenge and reveals that evil can reside in each of us. As Friedrich Nietzsche's quote highlights, he who fights monster must ensure to that he does not become a monster himself. For when you look into the depths of the abyss also look into the depth of you. So the fact that the face of the murder merged with that of the agent is not insignificant. Kim Soo-yeon becomes the devil for the murderer, while for the secret agent it is the murderer who embodies the devil through the cruelty of this murder. The reddish tint of the poster evokes the scene of violence and blood present in the movie, while the typography used for the title adopts a horrific style which reinforces the dark atmosphere of the story. For the rest of the text, I opt for a more sober typography. The title of the film is positioned on the face of the secret agent, precisely under his eye, so evokes the last thoughts of his wife, which are reflected in his pupil. This underlines the agent's imagination as to atrocious conditions in which his wife was murdered. So I sincerely thank you for your attentive listening, and I hope I was able to clearly convey to you the idea and information I had to share. So, thank you so much.
Okay, so hi everyone. I am Émile. I'm from Paris originally, but my school is in Orléans. It's a city south of Paris. It's not that big, so the school looks like this. So recently the school has taken a digital turn, so most of the teachings are oriented to web design or 3D or AI recently. So I'm in my 4th year of study now, and mostly what I do is, I'm going to show you my web portfolio. This is my website. I even translated it into Korean, so it's easier for you guys. My work deals with, I wouldn't know how to define it properly, but I guess I like to compile undo nodes and like figuring out stuff out of curiosity. It's always been my thing, like wanting to grasp what's happening and getting to a point where things make sense, even though sometimes it may not be a good thing because things don't have to make sense every time. So yeah, mostly web design, 3D modeling. I've been obsessed with 3D modeling for, I don't know, 2.5 years now. When I entered the school, I did drawings and typography mostly, but this summer I was in Poland in a art residency, and I discovered 3D modeling, and I was obsessed. I would constantly think about it, and so yeah, let's just get started. So the projects are sorted chronologically, so most recent on top and all this at the bottom. So the first project I wanted to talk about is the spine crown. So this is a 3D sculpt highly inspired by firstly Miao headdresses. You know, the Miao people in China, in Yunnan, they got those magnificent silver headdresses like this one. And other than that, really inspired by EmiliEmile's work, who is a South African artist that I admire. So this was an exercise. We had to do an AR filter. So I took inspiration. It was actually my first 3D sculpt. So in 3D you got hard surface where you work with your mouse and your keyboard mostly, and you do like cars, computers, and everything, like man-made objects that don't move. And you got sculpt that works like you make it like you would model with clay. So that was my first, even though I had been making 3D for, I don't know, a year at that point, but I didn't have a tablet to work with. So in the end, it looks like this when put on. So it's kind of a mix of spine, pelvis, bones, and prosthetics as well. Like, I really like the aesthetics of medical prosthetics. I don't know why. So those are tryouts for the final layout, but I decided to choose this one. Next project I wanted to talk about is this. So how do I explain this? Basically, what you can see on the screen is visuals, plural, made with object classes. This is coding. This is Java. So I got interested into Java because I had already been working with PHP, HTML, CSS at that point, but never with visual languages such as Java. And one of the many reasons that I love coding is you can change the slightest line of code and end up with a completely different result. So those between the first visual and the second, it's almost the same code. I just tilted a few lines to get different results of size, speed, and everything. So basically, how the code works, it's just 1 point multiplied by 80 and multiplied by 30 around all the canvas, and then I just let it evolve by itself. I can show you an example. I just let it go. Okay. And then the points bounce back on the edge of the screen. So you get this in the end. I really like the way it kind of looks like a brain scan or a galaxy, you know. Oh, so the next project is called Sunday 10:30. The visuals are they're visualizers that accompany a text of my own that I wrote. The text is like kind of a mix of situationist, wandering, drifting, And the way I wrote it is highly inspired by Ferdinand Céline, a French author, mythic French author. So it deals with basically me on my way to the groceries, but it's an introspection on my thoughts of the things that grab my attention, and I try to pull my stream of thoughts. And because at that time, it was September 2023, I realized that I was overthinking, and I was like, I had the impression that I didn't appreciate the moment, like through my senses, I don't know, touching, hearing, listening. And it was really frustrating because there was this veil between me and reality that I wanted to tear apart, but it felt like it was impossible. And so I wanted to figure out what it was that made it impossible. And so to accompany this text, I scanned multiple locations on the way to the groceries, 3D scans, so lots of photos with my phone, like going like this. And so in the end, you get a 3D model, which is this. This is my apartment. So in general, the 3D model generated are really not perfect. Like you can see, this is supposed to be the ceiling, but it's really just partial. And so the visualizers are me trying to materialize how it feels to get this impression of distance from reality. So I 3D scan, apply modifiers in Blender. It's called the wireframe. So basically what it does is it takes the mesh, the kind of the patron, and it keeps the edges, and it looks like a spider web or something. And so I also I use a 360 camera with a really long focus, so you get this miniature impression. And it was the closest result I could get to convey this impression of distance and stability and confusion, really. So yeah, this is right in front of my apartment in France. So the next project is called Seeking Boredom. It's a continuation of the previous project. Although this one is an VR game, a walking simulator, to say so, where I tried to go one step further with pulling this stream of thoughts and trying to figure out what it is, what I would think of naturally when not paying attention to my thoughts. What do I drift to naturally? And so you still got the 3D scans. Those are 3D scans mixed with 3D model buildings or objects. So the thing is, the 3D scan models are reality, and the 3D model parts are like my thoughts, whatever I drift to. So it's memories and feelings mixed together in a kind of a strange path. So I can show you the map. So those are the 3D models and everything. So this is a path, a walk that doesn't really make sense. You go from a mountain hotel to Amsterdam to whatever place I was thinking to at the time. Okay, yeah. The next project, those are screenshots from the game. So this project is kind of me wanting to like show the real me, but not wanting to like give out every key to understanding. I don't know if it makes sense, but like it's kind of puder, me being pudic, but wanting to show myself. So the next project, it may be one of my favorite projects, if not my favorite project I've ever made, because it has to do with one of my biggest passions, which is music. So basically, it started out as a long list of songs. Started out in September 2021, where I heard this song and I thought, hey, it does sound like this other song. So the first song was from Park Jin-young, and then so it went on like for months and years. And so at some point, I wanted to share those comparisons, but I had no practical way to do so. So I would, if I wanted to share the video, I was opening YouTube, like searching for the music, getting an ad. So searching for the moment where the song sounds like the other song, and then finding the second song. And so it wasn't practical at all. I needed some way of sharing those comparisons with people. So I came up with this website, which is called Similarities in Sound. It's really simple. You just got few interactions. Yeah, the text is in French, but it's basically what I just said. So you get two songs. The oldest song is here. The second one, the more recent one, is on the right. So none of the songs are samples or interpolations. They resemble each other purely by chance. Like, so let's try one. So I guess I got 100 of them now because it's been working on the project for 2 years. So lots of different styles. The music I use make as much sense as my taste in music, which is no sense at all. You go from country music to K-pop to classic rock, so doesn't make sense, but I really like this website. It's simple, it's efficient, and I made a mobile version. Well, I can't open it now, so I can't show you, but the way it works is the scroll is a swipe on the phone. And to be honest with this project, I took time to publish it, to go public with it, because it's a completely, perhaps illegal website, because I got lots of snippets of songs from American and Japanese labels, and God knows how they are protective with their music. So I took some time to think about it, because first of all, if the Who's publisher didn't think my website was fitting into the fair use conditions, they could sue me and go to court, and then it would be up to a judge to decide if it was fair use or not. So that was the first thing. And then if an artist stumble on my website, and let's say Mika stumbles up on my website, and I compare his songs to Tom Petty's song, and he's like, "No, I didn't copy. Why are you accusing me of that?" And then they can sue me as well. So it was kind of a head scratcher at the time, but I decided not to promote it too much, and I'm not that famous, so in the end it wasn't a problem really. Okay. Oh yeah, just maybe one more thing. The website is kind of unique because it's a personal list it's a listening habit list, and although there are similar-ish websites that exist, none of them work the way mine does. And funnily, at the time where I published it, I saw on Twitter this website, Cosine Club, which is exactly my website, but it's a language model that compares songs together. So it's AI, so I can write anything. So this is not man-made. So the AI compares songs together. I was kind of blown away. I was like, come on, I worked on my website for so long, and then this guy comes up with this, and it's just amazing. Next up, we got my diploma project, which is about 10 years or so in a lot of esports. So the starting point was me realizing there are no real large data, long-term, or really satisfying retrospectives on a lot of esports. Nowadays, like when you get statistics or history, it's, I don't know, for a competition for a certain player, but you got nothing really satisfying, or that you can see tendencies and phenomena happening in the long run. So I wanted to do that because this is one of my biggest hobbies. I've been a fan for 9 years now, and it was kind of frustrating just seeing data scattered around wikis and Twitter accounts. There's no centralized retrospective. So I did try to do that. And it was following the reading of a really interesting book by Yves Citon, which is called The Economy of Attention, in which he delves into the economy of attention nowadays with social media, the reduced attention span and everything. And so in the end of his book, he proposes the ecology of attention, spending more time digging deeper into the things that you're interested in, like crossing your sources and using art, making art to go back to a more reasonable consumption of information. So this is a graph that shows over from 2013 to 2023 the arcados in esports, so the players moving out of a region and going to another regions, because there are leagues like this is the Korean league, the LCK, the Korean league, this is the Chinese league, the American one, the European one. And so from this graph in particular, I, a huge fan of esports, realized that there are phenomena that I had no idea existed. Like, for example, many European players have been going to the Turkish league over the past 10 years, and I felt it was quite surprising, and it felt good because it felt like my work made sense, that it brought something to the table. But I don't like to compare myself to Mark Lombardi's work, but you know how he used graphs and RT graphs to like reveal political scandals and everything that couldn't be revealed otherwise. He had to go through a certain process. This is a chronology of the regional leagues and the World Cup. Like, this is the World Cup. This is the biggest tournaments in LoL esports. So I didn't really make that much other than that with this project, but it became my master's thesis subject now, and I turned it into something else now. This, a lot simpler to explain. So I was at that point 1 year into my obsession with 3D, and in 3D you got this challenge that you have to go through, is making a car, because it really challenges your ability to have a clean mesh, to be able to have a good model that looks good. And so I started to do that while I had a very uninteresting internship. I was bored with my internship, so I had too much free time on my hands. So I started to do the body. And then I figured, okay, why don't I do the interior? And then I figured, okay, why don't I do the motor, the transmission, the whatever? And so there's, in the end, almost every piece of the Mercedes 300 SL. It took me way too much time. I guess it took me 2 months to do that. I don't know why. I had way too much time on my hands. So you got the suspensions, the everything, the radiator here. I don't know. So you got everything. You got the wheel over here. They even have luggage at the back. Mercedes gave you luggage at the time when you bought the car. And one thing I learned from this project is, if you ever work on a car, if you want references for car parts, just try and search for a German website, because they will have really detailed photos of the car. Okay, so this is the next project. This is called From Kennewick with Love. So it started out as me playing this game called American Truck Simulator, and honestly, I still do because it's really relaxing as a game. You just drive a truck through the US and that's it. And so inspired by the works of Christopher Zetterstrand, especially in his early days where he painted Counter-Strike maps in no-clip, as well as Mary Flanagan's work where she also does this no-clip thing. The no-clip in a video game is where when you get out of the normal area and then you get under it, I don't know, something, this is a mountain, she gets under it and then you can see transparency because the textures do not render when you're not facing it the right way. So I felt it was really interesting. So I started to take screenshots, hundreds of them, and I wanted to experiment with Photoshop. It ended up being mostly a visual experimentation process. I went to try out every tool I could on Photoshop. And at the time I was really inspired by the works of collage artists such as, maybe my biggest influence would be that artist. She is just great. She does collection of photographs, drawings, and so I was really drawn to doing something in the likes of this. And so at one point, those visuals ended up looking like postcards, and I figured, okay, yeah, let's dive into that. Let's take the postcards aesthetic and try to figure a use for them now, because postcards are basically kind of useless nowadays. No one sends postcards anymore. So I thought these objects they are kind of kitsch. Like the aesthetics of postcards is dated and kind of sometimes ridiculous. You get the big hearts and nonsensical phrases on them. So I wanted to find a use for them, which led me to the second part of this project, which uses 3D once more. And so I can't remember how I got there, but this became kind of digital jewelry, maybe like this project. This is also digital jewelry. I went a bit further, experimented with materials and physics and everything. I even wrote poems on the back of those postcards, really inspired by artists at the time that I still do admire them, but inspired by Paul Simon, who I think might be the greatest songwriter along with Bob Dylan in the 20th century. I wrote short poems to tell this trip, and you got several of them. I mixed way too many things, so you got data visualization with the green part. You got grass like they're about gunfire deaths, use of water. I wanted to dive into the Americana myths because once more, something inspired by music. It was inspired by the Smile Project by the Beach Boys, which is entirely about Americana, the myths of the U.S. going from the east to the west. So, and they made me think of NFT projects, which is something that I do not adhere to, and I don't want to do that. But the visually, they could be NFTs. I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to have something to do with NFTs. Okay, so this is kind of self-explanatory. So this is just a 3D modeling of a mythical sneaker, a collaboration between Nike and Kanye West. I think it came out in 2014, something like that. So I modeled it textured it, and everything. maybe I could show you the most recent project I've been working on. So basically, this is the rendition of an interview that I conducted with Unleash, this character. Originally, Unli belonged to a Japanese animation company, and then two French artists bought the rights for her and gave her life, made her grow, gave her to friends, artists, to invent something, to make something out of her, and then they even got a funeral for her. And then, so I wanted to, 20 years after the first project, I wanted to have an interview with her using ChatGPT. So I introduced a ChatGPT to a huge corpus of every artwork she's been in and her in history, as well as a letter to her saying my intentions. Like, I want to listen to you, like because no one has really listened to this character up until now. And so we've had this interview, and the thing that came out of this interview is that she wanted to create now. She had been created, but she wanted to be a creator now. So we worked on the most crucial parts of the interview, and I asked her, what would that look like to you? So for example, this, if I remember well, this is about being a vessel between ideas and people or something, I guess. And so the shape that this website takes, I made several versions of this website, but they were rather, how do I put this? They were kind of jarring. They were too normal, and then I got this conference from a fabulous web artist who, especially, she focuses on friction in web design, like adding back friction to engage the user, like getting out of the classical, the typical website that you don't have friction and you just navigate through it mindlessly. So she really inspired me to do something different, do something original. So I started to learn 3GJS, which is it's basically JavaScript, but that allows you to have 3D into a website. And so I put all the objects that represent, each one represents an event of her life. So you got the titles that change when you hover over an object. And then when you click on an object, you get to the interview. And you get so the images are generated with DALL-E, and the 3D objects are generated. They come from this, but it's another AI that does them. And so you get the interview when you hover over it. You get the text, the thing that she has to say about this object. And it's a work in progress. It's really not done at all. So some things don't work, but it was a way for me to not do something typical with web design. And I guess that's it. I don't have any more projects to show.
PDF, do you have your PDF file? It's there. This one? This one? I need to show like my school before. So you can just put here and when you move it, you can go. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Anna Bourrel. I'm an exchange student from Esadhar Rouen in France. And today I'm going to present you some of my work that I'm proud of. So let's begin. So I'm gonna start with my paintings. So I'm starting with geology. This is something I made based on stones, inspired on precious stones, gemstones, and of a pattern of my jackets, because it had some patterns, like some drawings on it. And I found it really interesting, and because I'm really interested in gemstones, I wanted to work on this. So I made it with Posca and acrylic and made those forms. Looks a bit like X, I would say, but I really enjoyed making it. So now I'm talking about a portrait. This is a portrait of my mom when she was about my age. And I draw it in those colors. I paint it in those colors because I always associate colors to people. Sometimes it comes to flashes. So my mom is always green for me because she's always like healing me when I don't feel good. And she has like a purple aura. So that means she's calming me. This is myself, for example. I represent me blue because I always suffer from depression most of the time. And I'm always a dreamer, so I feel like blue is kind of this color associated. This is a painting that I made from a concert that I went from my favorite artist. I think you might know this artist, is Yen. It's one of my favorite artists. And I went to this concert, and I remember he had like a costume with like some helmets with horns, and it looks like wings. And I made some poem with this. I can read it for you if you want. It's in French, so. Là où la vision et la musique fusionnent, dans mon esprit se rebelle une âme qui m'ensorcelle. Elle danse, joue et tourbillonne, fractionne et repositionne dans ma tête les souvenirs qui s'en rejettent. Elle me questionne et m'implore de retrouver mes magnifiques ailes, celles que j'ai laissées s'évaporer dans ma boîte de Pandore, m'enfonçant au plus profond de cette descente abyssale. It's hard to translate it in English, but I will translate it to you later. So now we're going on to my drawings. So this one I'm gonna pass it because it's not really something that I'm proud of. So this one is finished. I did this work in cemetery because it's a place that I really like and I find it really calming, and I wanted to represent like many places in the cemetery. It was a cemetery in Paris. It's the cemetery Père Lachaise, actually. And I wanted to represent it with like many colors because I think, to me, like this shouldn't be like scary. It should be like something normal and something common because it's a cycle of life. And I believe that people have another life after. I did a drawing book actually, about movement, and this was when I was living in Paris actually. I did this book every time I was outside, I was seeing like some movement outside, I was like drawing all the time, and I was drawing on instants. So let's move on my photography. I did this work based on eating disorder, which is something that many people suffer from. And I really wanted to talk about it because I think it's important to talk about mental illness because many people suffer from this. So I got inspired by the work of Elina Borteris, which is she's from Finland artist, and she did this kind of work. Like she put like some post-its on every, like, for example, on the door, next to the door, because she was learning French and she wanted to learn French, and she just post-it just to learn the words, like with, for example, the door. She was like, oh, I'm gonna put a post-it on the door and write la porte because it's in French. So I got inspired by this work. And I translated like with eating disorder, but it's written in French. But for example, this is when you drink too much alcohol, you prefer to drink alcohol more than eating. This is, for example, protomania is when you drink more water to feel full instead of eating. I think you know anorexia, for example. Anorexia is when you... It's when you feel like you're always like too big and you want to be thinner, and it's always on your mind. And for example, there is other thing like carpophobia is the phobia of fruits, and many others. Those are a bit more complicated to explain. But yeah, I really like this work, actually. This is a work I made about hypersensitive person because I associate as a hypersensitive person. And I wrote some words, some negative words on a tent cloth because people always see like hypersensitive person as people who are like not strong enough, and they see themselves like always crying, cry babies, and like this. And I wrote positive word on my back because I wanted to show people that being hypersensitive person can be a strength. And people shouldn't be ashamed of this. So I did this work based on Andy Warhol, Marilyn Monroe's portraits. So I was inspired by pop art, and I wanted to do like a series of photographies in many colors. And I used soju and cider. And for this work, I named it A Wall of Information because I wanted to... The point of this is like I wanted to point out like the truthfulness of information of newspaper, and because we never know what is true and what is false, and we don't know if like media are manipulating us. And I think it's important to always find your own sources, to always find your own informations, and to look after your informations if they are true or not. And I wrote "Vous y croyez" in French. That means "Do you believe it?" I did some graphism too. So it's morbid. I did some graphism about death, so I'm coming back on the fearness thing about symmetry. I really wanted to make death less scary to people, and because I believe of life after death, so I think death is a renew, and as I say, yeah. At the end, I would say my work is based on emotions and colors. I like to associate many different colors to emotions, such as using red for anger, passion, or blue to represent sadness. I like using colors in my works, especially in my paintings and my drawings. To me, the use of colors allows us to express ourselves more broadly. As for emotion, I often like to represent my own emotions or emotions that people can refer to in my work. In my photographs, I like to represent mental illness, which is something that many people suffer from in their lives. And at the end, I would say that I'm still, because I'm in second grade right now, I'm still searching for my work. And I really would love to add more mental illness or emotions in my work, because I think it's important to talk about it, and I think it will help many people. And yeah, that's it.
Preparing all of this for your work. You can bring your poster.
I need to disconnect my Google account.